Hello, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Liz. Thank you for stopping by. You know what? I decided today that I would do a whip and chat. It is Sunday, September 1st. You know, I always consider the first day of September the first day of fall. And I am just so excited. I love fall, as most people do. I know some people aren't thrilled with it because, winter's coming. And if you watch Game of Thrones, winter's coming. That's why I cracked up. Or I didn't crack up. I just slightly laughed. Anyway, I love winter too, though. Except by the time February comes around, I'm done with winter. But I really just love fall. And I don't know, today is just a nice, quiet morning. I mean, it's usually a quiet morning, but every once in a while, Howie likes to bark. And I am just not in the mood to deal with him. Wait a minute, I got the wrong pen here. What did I do with my pen? You know what? It's weird. I lost a pen that I was working with yesterday. And all of a sudden, this one's going to... Oh, no, it isn't. Here it is. The other one, this one just has like a regular metal tip. But it does have the Diamond Art Club thin tip. The other one has a Diamond Art Club 4-placer. And I always have it on top of my desk. I did a couple of videos yesterday and it up and disappeared. I'm like, where on earth could it have gone? So, I don't know. Whatever, it is what it is. What are you gonna do? I I don't know how things just go disappear. I think sometimes the fairies are playing tricks on me. And honestly, I don't know. Are there fairies? Could there be? Yeah, sure. There's, stranger things in life than there really are in fiction in a lot of cases. So who knows? Maybe there is a different realm and we just don't see it. I mean, if there is, they can keep it. I don't want to piss them off because from what I've read, you really don't want to mess with them because they can get really mean. They can ruin your life. I know that's just like stories that people say from, say, Ireland or Scotland or England, and actually other places as well. Every culture, I believe, has some sort of fairy folk. Even my culture, the Portuguese culture, we have it, but there's not a lot of detail. Like I've never heard much detail about it. Just that there was fairies, never like the real stories, like the Irish, the Scots, and the British. They really have a long history of stories about them, and I love that stuff. I read books. There's actually a really good book. I think it's called Spinning Silver. Oh my God, it's amazing. And I listened to it on Audible, and the woman who reads the story, she's got like I want to say a Slavic accent because I believe it's based on a Russian fairy tale, I think. And it is an amazing, amazing story. And it is about a fairy prince and this woman. And it's not your typical love story by any stretch of the imagination, okay? It's nothing like that. It's just their relationship as far as how they... First of all, how they connect. It starts out with a lie, honestly, on her part with somebody else, and he overhears it. And I'm not going to give the story away. Anyway, if you look at the synopsis on Audible or on Amazon or just online, you'll get the gist of it. She claims to spin silver into gold, and these particular fairies are gold is their it's their one thing that they have to have. Anyway, it starts from there. And I'm not going to tell you that it turns into anything. It's just a really, really good story. The woman who is the heroine, I suppose, is very much, she's very clever. She's very, very clever. And she it's just a really, really good story. Okay, you really have to, if you're into fairies and those kind of stories, I love fantasy stuff. Read this book. It's amazing. And it's a one-off. It's not a series or anything. She does have a different one, which I'm planning on ordering. As a matter of fact, I have a credit with Audible. I think her last name is Novak or something like that, the author. The story is called Spinning Silver. And I love the book cover, as a matter of fact. If you look at the book cover, it's really, really beautiful. It would make actually a great diamond painting now that I think about it. And it's just such a... I've read it or listened to it at least 2-3 times now. I like it so much. It's just amazing, an amazing, amazing story. Very, very well done. It's a twist on fairy tales the way we've heard them. It's much more real, much more... Actually, you're not watching me do this. I'm way off here. Sorry. Let's go over here. It's much more hard. It's much more hard and harsh, you know. There's a couple others. There's another one as well, but I can't remember what the name of it is. It's about a woman who she gets caught up in the fairy realm, and I'm just trying to think. She gets caught up in the fairy realm, and she gets trapped there, but the fairies like create a doppelganger of her from a plant or something, and she dies. And somebody figures out that she hasn't died. She's still stuck in the fairy realm. And when she was because it would only happen at night in her dreams or whatever, so she wasn't getting any rest. She was going through the fairy realm at night and just dancing constantly, because the fairy king and the people there were constantly partying, you know. And the idea of the fairies, as far as the way they view reality, is not like us. There is a woman on YouTube. Her name is Morgan Daimler, Daimler. I've read some of her stuff and I've watched her videos, and she's kind of an expert on the folklore. And she's like, you can't, like, people think, oh, fairies are beautiful and ethereal and they would never harm me. No, it's not the case. Actually, the most beautiful ones can actually be the most dangerous ones. And they don't have the same sense of values as far as life that we do. To them, we're just like another creature. We're not, I mean, sometimes supposedly, these are the stories, they'll take a beautiful maiden or a beautiful young man from this realm and bring them into their realm and stuff. But people think, oh, they're going to live in fairyland forever and it's going to be wonderful. It's not. A lot of times it's very harsh. They have a completely different set of laws, different set of ethical codes. Like, you're never supposed to say thank you. Like, when you do anything with a fairy, I mean, some people do fairy stuff, you know, like fairy worship and stuff. You're never supposed to say thank you, because once you say thank you, you become obligated. And as a matter of fact, in Portuguese, when you say thank you, the word is obrigado or obrigada, depending on who's saying it. And it's basically, it's an obligation. When you say the word obrigado, it means I'm obligated, you know. Yeah, it's one of those things, you know. Anyway, I don't know how I got off on Fairyland here. I am working on A Samhain Night by Ines Guerrero. I got the first half of the top done. Well, almost. I'm working on the last part here. And it's coming along really well. It's working up pretty fast because a lot of it is, what do you call it? Line blocking and color blocking. Every once in a while I'll get a little dot on there of something. And it's coming out really, really nice. I'm actually enjoying it. I really like this particular picture, even though there's a lot of darkness to it. I mean, as you can see, though, I don't know if you can you see? Let me see if I bring it up here. See all the ABs, and then you have the fairy dust in here. Those are a little bit harder to see, but it's really, really pretty. Like if I bring it up a little higher, this is just the top. I have it flipped around because when I'm doing it, I have it on my lap, and you guys are going to be able to hear the, oh, the plastic, you know. Let's see if I put it that way. You might be able to see it better. Can you see this section here? Okay. And, it's just a beautiful, beautiful painting. I'm looking forward to putting this one up. I have the Sunday Morning in Spring. I swear, I think that one's going to take me until next year to do now. Only because it's such a long picture, and I am close to the halfway mark if I'm not already there. But I'm thinking now, oh, Christmas, Halloween. I'll probably start it. I'm sure I'll work on it in between, but I'll probably start it back up right in January, which will be nice because in January, you know, it's cold out and stuff. You want to see flowers and things like that, you know. So, yeah, I'm kind of working on a couple of different things. Plus, I have a couple of crochet projects that I'm doing because I dropped crochet for a while. I got really, really burnt out on it. I mean, I crocheted for years and years and years. And then one day I just didn't want to do it anymore, you know, which was unusual because I literally did it every day. That's the problem, though. I did it every day. And that's where I have to, like, be really careful, like, with anything, even this, because I get obsessed with something and then I sometimes, like, get burnt out. Now, that's why you have to kind of like take a break from things, but I still love crochet, and I am, when I tell people I am a master crocheter, I am. I know I pretty much can make anything, you know, even if there's no pattern. I can usually what do you call it, when you redo when you look at a picture or back engineer a pattern. Like I can look at something, a lot of times I can create it or try to recreate it. Most of the time when I do get a pattern, I edit it to my own whatever. I'll either add something or take something away, whatever. I mean, it's not hard. You know, crocheting isn't per se, it's not hard per se, but it is a skill that you really have to learn. You can't just pick up, you know, a hook and some yarn the first day and all of a sudden you can make a coat or a sweater, or, I mean, you'll be lucky if you can make a straight line, you know. That's how people start. And that's okay. That's how we all learn, you know. I started learning crochet when I was 6 years old with my grandmother, about 6. And she gave me a hook. I still have a hook actually from her. It's my most prized possession, to be honest with you. It's just a cheap little steel hook, but because it's connected to her, and she really was the queen of crochet. Okay, my grandmother was another one. She could look at something and create it. My mom says, in Portuguese, you say hands of silver. Speaking of spinning silver, it means your hands are highly prized for the work they do, and that's what they would say about my grandmother. I guess back in the day when they lived in the Azores, they were very poor. My family was very, very, very poor. Both sides, both my dad's side and my mom's side. I mean, extreme poverty, extreme hunger. They went through a lot of stuff during World War II when my mom was small. And they went through a lot. And my grandmother would sell her work. So there are people probably in Portugal that have, let me just move this over a little bit, that have probably either tablecloths she made, curtains, doilies. She made a ton of doilies. She was very good at doing doilies that she had, and that they have, that she made herself with her own hands. Now I have quite a few things that she made. She made me a tablecloth when I first got married. Actually, I was already long married, but she created me a tablecloth, and it's when she passed away, or before she passed away. quite a few years before she passed away. She needed to finish the ends end, and I told her, Grandma, don't worry about it. I'll finish the ends end, because that's a lot of work. If you've ever done crochet, the worst, or knitting or anything like that, the worst thing you can do, or the worst thing you have to do, it's the most drudgery of that, is weaving in all the ends. It's difficult, it's frustrating, it's annoying. And I told her, I said, Grandma, don't worry about it. Leave it. And I will, when I get a chance, I will weave in the ends. So, my grandma passed away in 2001, I think. It's either 2001 or 2002. I moved to this house here in 2014. I had put the tablecloth away because I also had, my children were young. I had my own health issues. I was doing other things, and I wasn't going to use the tablecloth anyway because kids, cats, dogs, husband. I wasn't going to use it at that time. I just didn't have the setup really to use a beautiful tablecloth like that. It's absolutely stunning. It's a gorgeous piece. Beautiful, beautiful, ton of work. Anyway, so I moved to this house in 2014, and that winter, it was a very harsh winter. 2014 in New England was like the coldest, the snowiest in I don't know how many years. I mean, I'm talking probably a good 10 years. I mean, we had so much snow that when you were trying to like leave the driveway, or even when I went into work down in Lowell, Mass, when I was working with the nuns, trying to get out of their driveway or trying to go around a corner, you really couldn't see. The mountains were so high. Anyway, so I was really stuck in the house, and I really, and I'm fine with that. I love being at home. But that's the year that I took that out, and I decided to finish it. And I felt so connected to my grandmother at that point because she did it, and I finished the ends for her. And oh, it's so beautiful. Now, funny thing is, she kept asking me to get thread for her because she was constantly running out of thread. I didn't know it at the time that she was making me this. So she would ask for ecru thread. So I would go to, I don't know, at the time it would have been Zayres or Ames or whatever. I don't really remember. It's been a long while. I don't even think we had Michaels at that time when she was creating this. That's how long it's been. Or maybe we did, but I don't think so. I remember buying it at, I believe it was Zayres or Ames at the time. Probably Ames. And so most, like all the squares, because they were all these giant squares. I mean, they're not giant. They're like maybe 8 by 8 or 10 by 10, something like that. She had put them all together, but at the end, you have to put a border on, and the border is really beautiful. It's absolutely stunning. The color of it is that there's a slight variation in color, because when you get crochet thread or crochet yarn or any kind of yarn, whether you crochet or knit, generally you try to get the same lot, because if you don't, even with white, you can have variations. Hold on one second. Sorry about that. I'm always froggy in the morning. As I was saying, you should always get the same lot. So if you're going to buy thread or whatever, always try to buy the same lot. I know when I buy it, I'll buy extra, because I work with thread too. I don't work just with yarn. As a matter of fact, I kind of prefer thread, to be honest. It's less wear and tear on my hands because you're moving the hook a little bit less. And I really do love the look of thread. I'm working on a thread skirt, and it's funny because I had put it away. I'd forgotten about it. I found it the other day, and I'm like, oh my god, I got to finish this. A pineapple skirt. So anyway, as I was saying, you got to get the correct lot. Okay, if you don't, you will have variations. White is not as bad. White is probably the only one that if you don't get the lot, it's not a huge deal. And most Aunt Lydia's thread, that's I buy the big giant balls. Most of that, generally, if you get the ecru color, or I think it's ecru, or the natural color, it's usually okay. But I still don't trust it, so I always get the I always get the same lot number. So anyway, so the color was slightly off at the edge, but honestly, I love it. I think even more because of that, because it's just extra special. Okay, I love it so much. I wish I could put it out on my table. I actually did put it out once. I think it might have been Christmas or something, but I'm so worried about it getting ruined, which is stupid because she wanted me to have it, but I want to pass it down. I want to pass it down to my daughter because my daughter really does appreciate that. And with the cat, my cat is big, huge orange cat. He's a sweetheart. Zeus is a great cat, but he's the clumsiest cat I have ever ran across. Like, he will jump on my table and go flying off. Now there's a tablecloth on there. I have a vinyl cloth on there that actually kind of looks a little bit like cloth. It's not. It's something I got on Amazon that's actually really nice. You can even wash it in the washing machine. But anyway, I'm afraid he's going to like ruin it somehow, get caught with his claws on it and pull it or something, So I haven't put it up. I know once he's gone, and honestly, he's already, 12 years old, I think. I think once he's gone, yeah, I'm going to be putting that up, I think, just to use it, because that's what my grandmother wanted. She's been gone over 20 years now, and I miss her. I miss her every day. She was my safe place. My home growing up was not fun. It was very hard. My dad was a heavy drinker. He was an alcoholic. And he was abusive, not physically really, but very mentally abusive. And I'm a very sensitive person. As a child, I was extremely sensitive. I'm better now. You grow up, and things, you see things differently too, but, and I think that's why that other night when I posted that video about, the people saying nasty things, I still have that with me. Part of that is still with me. That's why I'm still in therapy. I'm 56. I'm still in therapy. I'll be in therapy till I'm, 102. But anyway, the point being that it was hard. It was hard growing up. So I stayed a lot with my grandmother. There's a long story about that. Like, there was issues with my grandmother and my dad. They would get into fights, and then we weren't allowed to talk to my grandmother or my aunts or uncles when they would fight because people are crazy, okay? I would never do that to my kids, and I vowed when I had kids that I would never do the crap they did. Did I do my own crap? Yes, I did. No one's perfect. There's no such thing as a perfect parent. But anyway, the point being that, is that losing the focus there? Let's see. The point being that my grandmother was my safe place, okay? She was the person that I really felt actually protected me growing up. And my grandmother had a gift with all her grandchildren. She had like 20 some odd grandchildren. She had 5 children, and I think 22 or 24 grandchildren, something like that. I don't remember exactly how many. She literally made us all feel like we were her favorite. We all thought we were her favorite. Now, I like to think I was kind of her favorite only because I lived with her so much. I really did stay with her. Now, is this thing focusing in and out? Let's see if it changes it a little bit. If it's focusing in and out, there's really not much I can do about that. It's just I'm getting close. And maybe if I do it like that, it won't have to. I have it on this little teeny ricky-dicky thing here. I'm just hoping it doesn't go flying off. We'll see. Yes, so my grandmother was the one person that I always felt safe with. Always. Always. I never felt unsafe with my grandmother until, like, my dad showed up or whatever, because she had no real control, okay? So I always felt like I was going to be taken away from her, and have to go home or whatever. And I did. I had to go back home, of course. It's just, she was my safe place. And to this day, I miss her. She is my heart. I miss her so much. You know, I was one of the youngest of the grandchildren. So, I mean, I was very lucky. My grandmother passed away. I think I was like maybe 31, something like that. So I had a long time with her. But I got married at 19. I had my own life. You know, I had my children. I got very, very sick with depression and anxiety. So I became very homebound. She wound up getting sick. She wound up having to go into a nursing home. I mean, we did go visit and stuff. It's not like we just left her, but it wasn't the same, you know. And I regret a lot of that because I wish I could have done more. You know, I really do. But at the time, I really was not in a good place at all. So, yeah, I don't know how we got to this little talk here. I just miss my grandma. Oh, we were talking about crochet and the thread and the whole thing. I don't even know how we got to that. You know, I really don't. Oh, I think I was talking about how I got burnt out. Yeah. But I always feel connected to my grandmother when I crochet because she's the one that taught me. You know, she had the patience to sit down with like a 6 or 8-year-old. I think it was 6. And give me a hook and show me this is how you do it. And I took to it. But I didn't really start crocheting. Like, I knew the basic stitches. I could do a single crochet. I could do a double crochet. Like, I had an idea of exactly how it worked. But I didn't start really getting into it until my kids were like a couple years old. And I saw a pattern in a book, a magazine. I think it was a McCall's magazine. And it was a cute little coat. Let's see. No, I saw a book and it was a doll. And I'm like, it was a how-to crochet. Because I knew how to crochet, but I didn't know how to read patterns, American patterns. Because in Portuguese, I don't know if they have them now, but they did a lot of filet crochet, which is just like a graph. If you look up filet crochet, you'll see it. It's just it's almost like a cross-stitch pattern, but done in like these little squares, like little tiny squares like this, like of open and closed squares. And you can do some really beautiful things. I'm not a huge fan of working with filet crochet. Not that I can't do it. To me, it's just not my favorite. My sister, who does not crochet anything else but filet crochet, she took really well to it. She loves it. My grandmother really loved filet crochet as well. I like other things. I like to do other things, but I can filet crochet. I just choose not to because it's very simple. It's just double crochets and chains, basically. That's it. Anyway, I saw this book. I forget where I bought it. Probably Ames. Because back in the day, kind of, it's all we had around here. And it wasn't Kmart because I very rarely went to Kmart. And I got the book and I read the pattern and I'm like, oh, I can do this. Because I looked at the directions and I'm like, oh, okay, that's what a double crochet is. Okay, I know what that is. I didn't know what it was in Portuguese. My grandmother never attached names to the stitches. She probably had names to them, but I don't think she ever attached names, at least that I recall. So I started and I made this little doll dress. I mean, it wasn't the prettiest. I didn't have a lot of yarn, so I used like this, it wasn't brown, it was like maroon yarn with white or something. It was all right. I probably still have it somewhere. Either that or I wound up giving it away. I don't know. So once I did that, I'm like, oh, I can do this. This is not hard. I can follow directions. And a whole new world opened up for me with crochet patterns. A complete whole new world. At that point I decided, oh, I could pretty much make anything, and I did. I went hog wild. But anyway, I saw this. The first clothing piece that I made was a little coat for my daughter. A little it was like a coat. There was a coat and a hat, and I kind of made them to go with each other. Although they weren't the same. They weren't the same set. It was in the same book. I'm pretty sure it was a McCall's book, which I probably still have. I still have that little coat. As a matter of fact, my granddaughter probably will be able to wear it in a couple of years at the most, because my daughter was about 4, I want to say, because I remember bringing her to church in it, and she just looked so cute. Oh my God, she was so cute. And I made that coat, and I was so proud of myself and the hat, and everyone loved it. And at that time, when I was making the coat, I changed up a couple of things, and that's also when I realized you don't have to follow a pattern exactly. And a lot of times you can't, because I have a knack for getting patterns with mistakes in them. And I have tested for designers. I actually have designed my own patterns. I have one on Ravelry. Actually, no, 2. I have 2 on Ravelry. The reason I don't put a lot of my patterns on Ravelry is a lot of times I'll just create freestyle. It's really a pain to write down a pattern, because you have to do the whole row, and it's like, I don't have the patience or the time for that. I mean, I just created a bunch of outfits for my granddaughter last year. Every month I created something, and I really didn't follow a pattern. There's a particular beginning of a pattern that I followed just to start the shoulders and the arms, that I just use because it works really well. Other than that, I just cook it up in my head as I go. Could I have made money selling those patterns? Yeah, I could have. And maybe I will someday, but it's just, honestly, it's the hassle of doing it causes me stress and anxiety. It's just, to me, probably not worth it. Or maybe it is. I don't know. Maybe I'll get one of those viral patterns. A few years ago, they still have viral patterns that go every year, but I've been out of the crochet world's drama scene for a while, because I'll tell you one thing. Talk about drama. You would be shocked at the amount of drama that happens in crochet Facebook groups. It's amazing. It's truly amazing, the amount of insanity that people, and the arguing that happens. And God forbid you don't have a pattern. If somebody wants a pattern, they get really upset if you do not provide a pattern. And it's like, sometimes you don't have a pattern. Okay? Sometimes you just make it out of your head. And you know what? Who says you have to share a pattern? I mean, I do. I always, if I ever post anything, and I've stopped posting in those groups. The only one I've posted in is Cheetah's Diamond Painting Group. And I haven't even done that lately. I've been really bad about posting in groups. I don't know. I just get really overwhelmed with comments, like when people leave a lot of comments. And I'm not saying here, but even on YouTube, it's like, I do sometimes feel like very overwhelmed, because I like to try to get to comments in a timely manner because of my anxiety. I always feel like I have to do something right away. It has to be taken, that's a childhood issue, trust me. So I feel kind of like overwhelmed by them. So sometimes I don't post, mainly because of the feedback that I get. And usually the feedback's great, but sometimes it gets overwhelming, especially if I'm dealing with a group and, say, this channel. I much prefer doing it here, because I feel like here it's more centered, I think. It's more, I don't know, it's just more my space. So I feel like I have a little bit more control here, and you all are such nice people. And not that they're not nice. Everyone's been excellent on that particular group. And I'm not talking about her group. I'm talking mainly like the other crochet groups. I don't even bother anymore, because some of them can be just so harsh. And a lot of times it wouldn't even be on I've never had anybody be mean, I don't think, on my page, except for once. I asked the question, and some people were just really nasty. This was years ago. I crocheted lace thread christening gowns for many people over the years. I'm talking hundreds of hours. And I gave them away. I didn't sell them. I gave them away. And over the years, I did get pictures. I asked them for pictures. And back in the day, I don't even know if I had a digital camera when I was doing these. I don't think so. So I would ask people when they either dedicated their baby or christened their baby, if I can just have a picture, with the gown. And it was just my remembrance, you know. Almost everybody did it, but I had one particular person who was actually a family member, and I'm not knocking them. She never gave me a picture, and it's fine. She was busy. She's a manager, and she works very hard. And she never gave me a picture, and I realized after a while that I had never gotten a picture, so I messaged her. Now, this was quite a few years later when I was going through my stuff. I did send her a text or whatever I did, and I asked her if she could just send me a picture of the gown, because I couldn't remember exactly what I did, because even though it might be the same pattern, which most of them were not, I do change things up. I add beads, you know, I do a lot of different things. And I asked her if she could just send me a picture of it, and she couldn't find it. She couldn't find the gown. She didn't know where it was. And I was kind of sad, because I'm like, I worked on that item minimum 100 hours, and I'm not joking, minimum. Okay. And I'm like, did she give it away? Which is fine. If you gave it away, you gave it away. But those are literally heirloom pieces. They are literally heirloom pieces. They are highly detailed lace. Maybe at some point I will post a picture, or I'll show you guys, because I have one that was actually given back to me by a friend, because she said that, you know, her kids were grown and nobody was going to use it, which is really sad. It's just such a beautiful gown, but whatever. Everybody has their style, and that's fine. At least she gave it back to me and didn't send it to Goodwill. But I was just sad that, like, okay, you don't know where it is. I know exactly where my kids' christening gowns are that my mom bought in Portugal. I know exactly where that stuff is, because it means a lot to me. So I guess it didn't mean as much as I thought it was going to mean, which is fine, I suppose, because that's everyone has their own priorities, and you know, okay. So I did post something on saying something, you know, and this was years and years ago, saying something to the effect like, I had a similar gown. I posted a picture of it, and I said, I'm looking for another one, the picture of the other one, but, you know, the person that I gave it to has no idea where it is, and I'm really kind of sad about that, because I'm thinking that they didn't either keep it, or God knows where it is. You know, you got to be careful of that stuff. You got to store it correctly. If you don't, it's going to get stained or yellowed, and you know, there's ways to clean it. I've done it, but you know, you have to take care of it. It is something you really should take care of it, and take care of it well. And people came back at me, and they're like, how can you expect somebody to know where something is from years ago, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, clearly you have never spent 100 hours working on anything, okay? These aren't just little tiny hats that you can make in 2 hours or whatever. This is something that was meant to be an heirloom piece. It was, I asked her if she wanted it before I even gave it to her. I didn't just, you know, give it to her. I asked her if I could make it for her, and she was very happy for me to make it for her. But, you know, the fact that people were coming at me, and I'm like, what is wrong with people? If I saw something like that, somebody works that hard, and that thing goes missing because that person didn't clearly appreciate it, I guess. At least that's how I felt. I can understand why somebody would feel sad about it, you know? Like, what's going on? I put all this time and effort, and you don't see that? And that's the problem with handmade things like that, crocheted or anything like that. And remember, you cannot machine crochet. There is no such thing as a machine that crochets. Anything that's true crochet that you find in a store or anywhere else is hand done. You know, whether you're getting it from China and they're paying those people, you know, $2 an hour, or not even, probably like 20 cents an hour. I don't even know. I mean, it's giving them a job, but come on, you know, it's a lot of work, and it ruins your hands, ruins your wrists. I've had surgery of both my hands for carpal tunnel, and that was because of all that work I did, you know, many, many years ago, and still do now. So that's the problem, is people do not understand the amount of work, the level of work, and not only the level of work, the amount of love. You don't do something like this because it's utilitarian and you have to do it. You do it whether you knit, crochet, paint, diamond paint, whatever. You do it because you love it. It is a level of love, and that's a way of expressing your love. And when I'm crocheting a baby gown for a christening, which I will not do them. I've done them for my kids or for my grandchildren if they choose to use them. My daughter did use one for my granddaughter that I had made years ago in case something happened to me, because I had made so many over the years for other people. I decided to make one for each one of my children, for my son and my daughter, so when they had kids, if they wanted to use them, they were there. And of course, when my granddaughter was born, my daughter was very happy to use her gown. And the point being with that is people don't understand the level of work and the level of love that goes into something like this. Like when somebody gives me something handmade, even if it's just a little thing, I personally take extra care of it, because I find that that person was thinking about me. If they make something for me, I'm always like, oh my God, that's just so sweet. Because I understand the level of effort that it takes, even if it's something small, to make stuff for someone. Do it with your own hands. And people don't value it. I offered a friend of mine, and honestly, it is just taste and style. This was years ago when she had her first daughter. I offered her one of my christening gowns, and she didn't want it, and that's fine. But she just went and got a round-of-the-mill dress at, wherever, Macy's or wherever she went to get it. It was nothing special, I'm like, these are literally one of a kind. They're rare because most people will not make them. I've seen some done out of yarn, and they're nice too, but they're not the same level. I'm talking highly detailed lace with rosettes done in beading and stuff. These are highly detailed pieces, and I was just like, people don't appreciate the handiwork that goes into making things into a painting. Like when people actually paint. Now, I don't have a problem with AI art. I understand some people have to use AI art, whether they have a disability or whatever. But when somebody can actually take a piece of paper or a canvas and paint like a picture or a person or whatever, I'm always astounded by that, because I'm like, oh my God, the level of number one, the level of creativity to me is amazing, but also the level of skill. I love hand done pieces. I really do. I love the effort that it takes, because they're special. Anything that's hand done, even if I make you a hat and I make the next person a hat and I make a next person a hat, every single one of those stitches is hand created by me. I'm literally creating the fabric by hand. It's not a machine doing it. But also, everyone is going to be slightly different. Whether I have like a slight little mistake here, or I add a stitch, or I take a stitch away, every single one of them is going to be slightly unique. And that's the thing. The hand-done stuff, it's never going to be exactly the same. They're going to be slightly different and unique in their own way. And I just love that. Anyway, I just figure I'd talk to you guys this morning for a few while I finish this section here. Let's see where we're at. 43 minutes. Ooh, I've talked too long. I am sorry about that. Well, I guess I'm done. My husband just got up. I'm going to go say good morning to him, and I'll finish this section later when I have my extra time, because I'm going to be doing a few things. I hope you guys have a beautiful weekend. Tomorrow's Labor Day, so some of you who get the day off, I hope you enjoy it with either doing something for yourself or with your family, whatever you do. I'm just going to I think hang out. I don't have anything planned. I don't know if we're going to maybe go visit the kids or whatever. We might do that because he's got tomorrow off, so it'll be a nice day. He's got today off as well. So, all right, you guys, thank you for sitting with me for a little while and listening to me, go off on a Weird tangent. I had no idea where this was going to go when I started it, but clearly I had plenty to say, as usual. I've never been one to not have plenty to say. And that could be a good thing or a bad thing, depends on who you are. All right, you guys, thank you so much for stopping by. Have a great day wherever you are. Have a great weekend. Blessings and thank you.